Hello guys, in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make this beautiful crochet mushroom applique. I will be doing a tutorial for the bag in another video, but this video is going to be how to make this beautiful crochet applique mushroom. For the stem I am using this tan color. I have a sample here of the stem. We're going to need the white for the spots and some red for the cap. You can use any color yarn that you choose for the stem, the cap, the spots. It's all up to you. You can make it as colorful as you want it. We are going to start with the mushroom cap. So get your cap color, whatever you've decided to use for your cap color. And these are all medium weight 4-weight yarns. Today I'm going to be using a number 5 and a number 4 millimeter hook. If you want to measure your applique, you're going to need a tape measure. It's always good to have some stitch markers around if you're beginners to mark your stitches if you need to. You're going to need a tapestry needle or a darning needle to sew in your ends, and you're always going to need scissors anytime you're doing a crochet project. Get those items ready and let's start on the cap. So for the cap we're going to use our 5 millimeter hook. If you wanted to make a smaller mushroom you could go down a hook size, and if you wanted to make a larger mushroom you could go up a hook size. What we're going to do is put a slip knot on our needle, so we just make a circle with our yarn. And then we're going to pull that yarn up through the center. To make a little circle here, we're going to attach our yarn to our hook, and then we're going to chain 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, so we have 15 chains. All right, and we're going to put a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So this first V would be our first chain, and this one's our second. So we're going to put a single crochet. I like to go right down the center of the stitch. I do not like to just get the front loop. I like to go right down through the center, so I'm picking up the front and the back loop here. All right, so we're going to do a single crochet. And we're going to do a single crochet across this whole first row. So just put a single crochet into each stitch, going all the way across. All right, once we get to our last stitch, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. All right, and now we're going to be putting a decrease. What a decrease is you're crocheting 2 stitches together. So you're going to start with a single crochet, and then you're going to do another single crochet in the next stitch. You should have 3 loops on your hook, and you're going to pull your yarn through all 3 loops. That was a decrease, and then we're going to just do single crochets across this whole first row. And we're going to be decreasing the last 2 stitches. So make sure you stop before you have your very last 2 stitches here. And you can tell that there are stitches by the V's. If you need to put a stitch marker in the first and the last stitch, if you're a beginner, you can, but that is our last stitch right there. So we're going to do the same thing we did at the beginning. We're going to start our single crochet, and then we're going to start another single crochet in the second stitch. You're going to have 3 loops on your hook, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Then you're going to chain 1 and turn your work, and you're going to decrease the first 2 stitches and the last 2 stitches in every single row. So we're going in to that first stitch to start a single crochet, and we're starting a single crochet in the next stitch, yarn over, pull through all 3, that's a decrease, and then we're going to single crochet all the way across. And if you wanted to make a smaller mushroom, you could just chain a smaller amount when you first start instead of the 15. So we're going all the way across with single crochets until we get to the last 2 stitches. And then we're going to single crochet a decrease. So we're going to start a single crochet in both of those stitches and then pull through all 3 loops. That's a decrease. And then we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. We're going to insert our hook again. We're going to do a decrease right at the very beginning. And then we're going to single crochet all the way across. All right, and when you're down to your last 2 stitches, you're going to start a single crochet in each one, pull through all 3 loops, chain 1, turn your work. You're going to do another decrease at the very beginning, single crochet all the way across. Here's our last 2 stitches, so we're going to decrease again. We're going to chain 1, turn our work. Again, we're going to decrease the first 2 stitches. Single crochet. All right, here's our last 2 stitches here, so we're going to decrease these. Chain 1, turn our work. We're going to do a decrease here at the beginning and a decrease at the end for our last stitches. Chain 1. All right, and now we're going to be working on a border that goes all around this mushroom. So we're going to be putting a single crochet into every stitch around, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You have your decreases here, so sort of find a place where you can go in there with your hook. You're just making a nice little border to go around your mushroom with single crochets. Now at the corner, you're going to put 2 crochets. So in this corner spot, Just put 2 single crochets. I hope I said single crochets the first time. So in the corners, we're going to put 2 single crochets in each of the bottom corners. And just work your way across. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just picking up that bottom stitch right here. When you get to the corner, we're going to be doing 2 single crochets in this bottom corner. And you can decide where your corner is. Sometimes it's hard to find the corner. I think I'm going to make that the corner right there. And then work up. We're doing 1 single crochet. And just try to stick it in, that stitch in where it looks nice. For a nice border around. All right, so we've reached the top, the beginning, and we're just going to do a slip stitch here where we started. And then you're going to leave a long enough tail so that you can sew this in later. So leave yourself a long tail so you have plenty of room to sew this applique on without adding additional yarn. So the cap is going to look something like this. All right, and here's our end. And you can sew this in if you want to now, or you can do it later. Or if you left yourself a long tail, you can use it to sew in additionally when you sew this mushroom onto whatever your project needs a mushroom for. Okay, cut that so it's not in our way. And again, we are leaving a long tail so that we can sew this applique on. Okay, so that's what the top of your mushroom is going to look like. For these spots, I'm going to be using my 4mm hook. And I'm getting white, but you can use whatever color you want. Okay, so for these spots, we're going to make a magic circle. And if you can't make a magic circle, you can just chain 3 and then connect with a slip stitch. But to make a magic circle, you're holding your yarn in your hand. You're going to wrap it around your 2 fingers, make an X, turn your hand. You're going to put the yarn between your pinky and this finger to hold it. That's what it looks like on this side. That's what it looks like on this side. We're going to be going underneath with our hook, underneath the first piece of yarn with the hook facing down with the top of the hook. So we're going under here, and then we're going up, and we're grabbing with our hook this back piece. We're going to lift up on our hook, twist clockwise, and bring your yarn up so it's lifting it up. Then you're going to grab your yarn right here, yarn over, and pull it through that little loop right there. You can twist your hands like this So you have a magic ring. If you can't do a magic ring, just chain 3 and connect with a slip stitch. It'll be the same thing. So all we're going to do is we're going to put 7 single crochets inside our magic ring. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we put 7 single crochets. If you want bigger spots, you can put more. If you want smaller spots, you can put less. It's all up to you. We're going to pull our magic ring. We're going to connect to our first stitch with a slip stitch and pull through. So pull it right through. And then I'm going to leave a long tail so I can sew this spot onto my cap, mushroom cap. So leave a nice long tail and then just pull your end all the way through and tighten up your circle from the back. And that is your little spot. Again, you can make this as big or as small as you wanted to. So you're going to make 3 of these. Okay, so let's move on to our stem. We're going back to our 5mm hook for our stem. So this is what our stem is going to look like. With our 5mm hook, we're going to get our stem color. I'm using this tan brownish color. Okay, now we're going to leave a long tail, and I find it's easier to leave a long tail at the end of the project. We're going to make a slip stitch, a slip knot, and attach our hook in the slip knot, and we're going to chain 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, so we have 11 chains on our hook. We're going to make a single crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook. So count your bees, 1, 2, 3. We're going to put a single crochet right in that 3rd chain from the hook. I like to go right down through the center. So we're making a single crochet. And then we're going to do 4 more single crochets down our chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 5 in total, counting that first one that we made. So we're going to do a half double crochet in the next stitch. So yarn over, half double crochet. Then we're going to do another half double crochet. Then we're going to do a double crochet. In that next stitch. So we're going to have one last stitch right here. So in that very last stitch, we're going to put 1 double crochet first. So do 1 double crochet. Oops, let me get right down in the center of that stitch. I like to go right down the center, so I'm not just getting that top loop. So we're going to do 1 double crochet. And then in that same hole, we're going to do 3 half double crochets. So here's 1, and you can turn your work so it's easier for you. And I like to hide my tail underneath there. So we've done 1 half double crochet. We're going to do another one. And we're going to do another one. So there's 3 half double crochets, all in the same hole. And then we're going to do another double crochet in that same stitch. Okay, so in that one stitch at the end, we placed 1 double, 3 half, and 1 double. Okay, now we're going to do a double crochet in the next stitch, which is right here. You're going to see this line right here. This is the stitch right here that we're going into. So we're going to do a double crochet into the next stitch. Again, I am going over my tail, and then we're going to do a half double crochet in the next stitch, and we're going to do a half double crochet in the next stitch, and then you're going to do single crochets all the rest of the stitches. So there'll be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that is it. And then we're going to leave a long tail. So make sure you leave a long tail to sew this on to whatever you're going to be sewing it onto. So you're going to pull your end out, leaving that long tail. And see how, because we went into the 3rd chain from the hook, it leaves this nice flat spot right here that I really like for that mushroom, the top of the mushroom stem. We can sew in the end of our tail here. Just so it doesn't get in our way. Here is our mushroom stem, and then we have our mushroom cap. So here's one of our little dots, and you can make as many as you want. If you want to have more dots, you can make more dots. I just like it with 3. I like to place it with the one that's coming out of the center. So say if I wanted it right here, I would use that center tail to sort of anchor it in there and place it there. And then you can get your long piece that you're going to sew in. And then I like to hold that little tail that I put through from the center and the back, just so it doesn't move around on me. And then you're going to just be sewing in your little dots here. And you want to have your dots sewed on before you try to sew this onto something. And make sure you pull your circle, your magic ring tight also. So you're just going to go around and sew your dots onto your mushroom cap. And you can do this any way you like and put them anywhere you want on your mushroom cap. You don't have to do it like I do it. All right, so you want to get your little spots so it's nice and neat however you like them. And then you can just tie off your ends back here. Weave in your ends. Okay, so you have your cute little dot here, and you are going to make as many dots as you want. I usually make 3, so I'll put one here and here. This is what the finished product will look like. So when you are sewing on your mushroom to whatever you're sewing it on, I sew on the mushroom stem first to place it. So here's where I sewed this mushroom here. So you're going to want to sew your stem on first. And then when you sew your cap on, you put it over the stem. So it covers that edge of the stem. So it's like this. Isn't that cute? And you can make these as big as you wanted, as long as you wanted. You can play around the stitches if you want them bigger or longer. And if you want a larger mushroom, you can just go up a hook size. And stay tuned for me making this bag. So I'm going to later be making a tutorial how to make this green bag. And then when I do that tutorial, I will be showing you how I sew the mushroom on. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and watch for more. Thanks a lot, guys.